Man.
We are recording. 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Avanti Entrepreneur Podcast. I am Dave Mammano, your host, and I strive to bring you just incredible rock star entrepreneurs, thought leaders that help the small business entrepreneur to grow, to be inspired, and just really move to that next level. And I have a great guest. Today. His name is Ken Walls. And I met Ken through Chris Saraceno, who is the brother of my next door neighbor, Perry Saraceno. And this whole path, I'm talking about the story, before I introduce you, Ken, I got to talk about connections here. And you are the ultimate connector, by the way, Ken. I thought I was good, but you're better. So my next door neighbor, Perry Saraceno, connected me with his brother, Chris Saraceno, because he wrote a book. And then Chris Saraceno connected me with you, Ken Walls. Hi, Ken. And so Ken and I became instant friends. And then Ken, I told Ken, geez, I'd love to have Grant Cardone on my podcast. What do you know it? Ken has some contacts over at the Grant Cardone company, connected me, and boom, I get Grant Cardone on my podcast. Thank you. And then Sharon Lechner, who is a superstar as well, co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, done a lot of things with the Napoleon Hill Foundation, Think and Grow Rich, etc. Another superstar, connected me with her as well, had her on my podcast. So just the power of knowing people with connections. I love it. And now I finally realized it was time to have Ken on my podcast as well. So Ken, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. We've been trying to make this happen for a couple of months now, I think.
I know. I don't know who canceled more, you or me. I'll take the blame. I think one time I tried early and you were like, that's not going to happen, you know? So.
Yeah. Well, I have a daily show. I haven't done it in a couple of weeks, but I have a daily show that I do every
usually a daily show is daily, Ken. It's not like every couple of weeks, you know?
Well, yeah, mine's daily at 11 a.m., but I haven't done it in a couple of weeks because of moving and some other things I've had going on. So
gotcha. Well, welcome to your new house.
Yeah.
And so Ken, who is Ken Walls? Well, you sent me your bio. I'm going to read it. And I usually print them out, but my printer's not working. So I'm going to be environmentally friendly. I'm actually reading it from my phone. How do you like that?
Go for it.
That's how hip I am. So Ken Walls is the CEO and founder of Client Solution Innovations. We're going to find out more about that. And Ken has taken the tragedies of his life from childhood into adulthood and used them to intuitively know how to help just about anyone expand their life and their business. In fact, he even wrote a book, best-selling book, called Walls of Wisdom. I get it, Ken Walls. Walls of Wisdom. See how bright I am? Turning pain into profit. I like that. He has had the honor of working and consulting with some amazing business owners and celebrities around the world with firsthand knowledge of the power of the positive mindset and 30 years experience in business, technology, sales, marketing. He founded Client Solution Innovations, a powerful technology and strategy marketing consulting firm. Ken helps entrepreneurs identify where they may be stuck and how to break through whatever that is, holding them back from fulfilling their true potential in business and in life. Sounds like every entrepreneur needs you, Ken. So excellent. So Ken, listen, I got to know you. We haven't met in person yet, but I feel like we have. I'm surprised we haven't. We've been communicating so much. I don't know if you do this with everybody, but we instantly connected and became like friends. Like I think the night Chris Saraceno connected us. Yeah. But I want to feel special, so I'm going to say that that was a special bond, you and me. But in reality,
everybody else on the planet hates me. So it's a special bond.
Yeah, right. So, but I want to learn more about, what we talked about in your bio, how you help entrepreneurs with your company. But, looking at you, you're always happy, very positive, right? And I didn't know, I guess we all have some tragedy in our life, but based on your bio, and I don't know what it is, but it appears that you have a little bit more than everybody else. And if you want to share that, about kind of your journey of life so far and how it's helped you and shaped you into what you're doing today to help other people.
Yeah, sure. And thanks for reading that. I carefully crafted that bio to make me look awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I grew up in a very, I want to say, low middle class and maybe even high low class. I don't know. Household where my mother and stepfather worked in a factory, and we grew up really. I mean, we had parents obviously, but they were you know busy all the time, and so and there was a tremendous amount of and I talk a little bit about this in my book, but it was a pretty crazy environment, alcohol and drugs and stuff. Growing up as a kid, I saw a lot of crazy stuff and experienced a lot of abuse and whatnot. And for many years, I want to say I rebelled. I lived in resentment and a lot of pain and all of that stuff, right? And always blamed all of that on my drinking, because I eventually, by the age of 8 or 9, I started drinking. And by the age of 13, I'm pretty sure I was a full-blown alcoholic. So now I didn't obviously know that then, but now looking back, obviously I know. But man, I everything, I look at it now and I go, everything that happened to me actually made me who I am today. It gave me the ability to be empathetic. It gave me the ability to see through people's stuff. It gave me the ability to help other people that are struggling, no matter what it is. If it's addiction, if it's a life situation. I've seen so much. I've done so much. I've lived in so many different states in this country, and I didn't realize back then, but I was on the run. I thought I was running from my problems, but I was actually running from myself. And the crazy part is, every time I got somewhere, when I got to Seattle, when I got to Houston, I got to Dallas, I got to Pittsburgh, I got to West Virginia, everywhere that I went, man, I was still there. And at the age of 34, so almost 17 years ago, on August the 10th, I by the grace of God, I had my last drink, and I hope that it stays that way. But I got to a place where I had lost many relationships, lost millions of dollars, and many businesses and many business opportunities and associates and friends. And I had a moment where it was like, man, I don't want to live anymore, but I don't want to die. And I didn't know what to do. And so I finally surrendered to whatever you want to call it. I'll call it God. I surrendered to a power greater than me. And
we could talk about God on the show. I'm good with it.
yeah, well, I mean,
I'm here by the grace of God as well. So
yeah, right, man. And so, I just, it took me a long time to I don't know if I want to say figure it out, but took me a long time to learn that things were happening for me and not to me. And it really, it made me who I am today. Now, it also made me kind of sensitive. So, right. I'm a little bit sensitive, and I may have a bit of a chip on my shoulder, but overall, I genuinely care about people, and I love to help people. So.
Yeah, I got that right away. And it is interesting what you say. And thanks for sharing that, by the way. I know that, a lot of entrepreneurs and successful people like yourself like to just showcase the good stuff and hide all the bad stuff behind the curtain. But it's, when I had Grant on the show, thanks to you again, he talks about the fact that, he had drug and alcohol problems as well. And, his mother said, never come here again. And that was his bottoming out. Right. So the good news is that, you, Grant, so many others are, realize that you had to really kind of do a control alt reset on your life. And then, but not only hide it, but talk about it to help others and I think, in a weird way, it's good to talk about this stuff because, every entrepreneur is going through and every person really, right? I don't care how big they're smiling. Every person is going through something, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of times we feel bad because we think like the other person's got it going on 24/7. And when someone successful like you says, well, you know what? Yeah, I got a great life, but guess what? It wasn't always great, right? And here's what happened, and here's what I did to get better. And I'm
Right.
sure you still have days where you're a complete mess, but you get back on track, right? We all do. So I love it when people will share. I like to call it the crash and almost burn stories, right? So that we can feel almost like a kindred spirit, and so people can say, "Oh, all right, I don't feel so bad. It's okay that I'm having a bad day. It's okay that I totally messed up, but I'm just gonna Avanti. I'm gonna move forward, right? So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that. And I love what you said too, that wherever you moved, there you were, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna go to
Yeah.
Seattle. I'm gonna go to this city. I'm gonna start fresh. But if you're still the same person, with the same habits,
Yep.
it doesn't matter where you are. You could be in, Bangladesh. You're still the same, Ken that you didn't like at that time, right? Jim
That's
Rohn
right.
used to talk about that, right? Like wherever you are, you know, you bring yourself, right? And so you
Yeah.
just ended up bringing a new Ken Walls to the table,
Yeah.
and that was the game changer. You could have been anywhere, but you were getting back on track, and obviously you started to like yourself more and more because you've been doing it for 17 years, right? So
Right. Right. Well, I've, again, I think the bad days and the one of the things I love social media because the reach, like you can just get to know a lot more people. If it weren't for social media, I wouldn't know you, right? And what are the odds that I would ever get in my car and come to Rochester and bang on doors and run into you, right? They're slim to none. So I love social media. I love the way that we're all connected. But one of the things about social media is that you just said is people are trying to put on this front, this facade that I literally just got a friend request a little bit ago on Facebook from somebody that he's standing next to two different Lamborghinis, this young kid, and I'm thinking, why is that your cover photo? Like, I'm not saying that young kids don't own two Lamborghinis, but most don't. And I don't know, man. There's just a lot of fake stuff out there. And, I've driven a Lamborghini. I've never owned one. I've driven Ferraris. I've been in Rolls Royces. I've been in Bentleys, but I've never owned one of those. I've had Mercedes. I've owned those, but like I, I don't, I don't post that stuff. I'm just like, that's one of the things that I do in my company is I do coaching. I teach entrepreneurs, I teach business owners and wannabes how to actually use social media and organically grow your business via social media. So, it's one of the things that I can't stand in this world are fake people, just fake people. And I'm not judging because I've been fake myself, but for the most part, in today's world for Ken Walls, for me, I'm like, this is who I am. Like, you don't like it, don't follow me. Like, there's that unfollow button.
you do seem very, very authentic, and
Yeah.
you go live on Facebook a lot,
Yeah.
and you're just shooting the breeze. You're not trying to be like super Ken. You're just like, hey, I'm Ken Walls. I like that about you. So, Avanti family, if you want to keep it real, go on Facebook and find Ken Walls, and he does a lot of live. You do a lot of live stuff going on,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's
I
just kind
do.
of like I feel like I'm just chatting with you almost.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's the way it should be.
yeah.
People don't get that. They think that, social media engagement is about putting up a cool picture or video and getting a bunch of likes and comments. That's not engagement. Engagement is, I get done with my live stream and Dave Mammano stayed on the live stream the whole time. And when I got finished, I said, all right, I'll see you later. And Dave clicks off and he's like, man, that was great. I really enjoyed hanging out there, and Ken made it a two-way conversation, not just a one-way conversation, right?
Plus, you're just so damn good looking. I mean, it's like a
Well, there's
magnet, right?
that.
Yeah.
There is that. I'm kidding.
You're
But
very
no,
modest.
man, again, it's just about, it's about being real.
Yeah.
If you were at a party, or you were, just walking down the street and some dude walked up to you and said, "Hey, I'm Ken Walls and I build websites and I help companies grow and I do this and I do that and blah, 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 all about me." And I go, "Nice to meet you." And I walked away. You'd be like, "That was the wackiest dude I've ever met in my life. What the heck was
Yeah.
that all about?" You
Yeah.
know, because there's no two-way engagement, and people are not utilizing social media properly. They're not doing two-way engagement.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway,
I don't do a lot of lives. I should maybe do some more Facebook lives,
I mean, it's like the number one way to get new business in today's world. But
Yeah. Other than that, yeah.
other than that, you don't really have to.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, so you're 34, you finally get your stuff together, stop drinking.
Yeah.
What do you do? Like, tell us about your journey, your professional journey about, what were you doing in your 30s and 40s, and how did you
Yeah.
get so good at what you're doing today, and really becoming a master connector, I should add.
Well, back when I was 17, 16, maybe, I don't even, somewhere in there, this guy I don't remember how got in touch with this dude, but they were hiring salespeople to give water demonstrations in this office to people coming in and showing them how bad the water was and how bad you needed this water purification system. So I was like, "Well, I could do that, I think." I mean, I don't know. So I did it and I did well. But I didn't really know what I was doing. And then, man, along the way, I ended up in high school. Again, I was in a really crazy environment, and I'm not blaming that. It's the circumstances of my life back then. But in high school, my senior year, I'm taking all of these college prep courses: algebra, trigonometry, analytic geometry, acing all of the math stuff because I love math and numbers. But so I'm going through all of that, and they came to me and said, "You didn't get a biology credit in 10th grade, so you're going to have to come back next year if you want to graduate." And I said, "What do you mean a biology? I hated biology. I'm never dissecting a frog again in my life. Like, I hate, that's why I didn't get it." And so I didn't graduate. I argued with the guidance counselor for about 10 minutes, and he convinced me I was not getting that piece of paper. And this is like a few months before graduation. And so I'm like, "You know what then, dude?
Mm-hmm.
I'm out.
Yep.
Peace. I'm out." And I walked out and I did not graduate. I went to work at the Honda factory here in Ohio, building the cars, and did that for 2.5 years and realized I hated that. So I left and I got into selling. And, I started out in sales and I did really, really well. And then I hit a brick wall and I didn't do really well. And I'm like, "Okay, this sucks." So that's when I made the decision. If you could see like all around my library / office here, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. I mean, along the way of my alcoholism, I've lost a lot of books that
Mm-hmm.
I'd read. But back then I decided, if I'm going to make it, I'm going to have to educate myself. Like, I can't do this without. So I started getting Zig Ziglar books and Tom Hopkins books, and Brian Tracy, and then I started going to seminars and I started listening to audio. Like, I was in my car driving, I had so much windshield time, I was listening to Brian Tracy and the psychology of selling and the psychology of success, and I'm listening to all of these courses, and Zig Ziglar, I'm wearing out tapes of Secrets of Closing the Sale and See You at the Top and all of his books, and I'm like just absorbing all of this knowledge, and it starts showing in my results. And I go at, I don't even remember how old I was, 20 years old. I'm making $3,000-4,000 a week on my good weeks, no less than $1,000 a week. I was balling, man. And I was like, dude, this is phenomenal. Like, I got this, and then I'd started my own business eventually and became the largest direct TV dealer in the United States, and home security systems and all this stuff that I was doing. And all the while I was really doing well. And then I started, the more money I made, the more cocky I got, and the more my alcoholism was it was like the magnifying glass in the sun burning ants or whatever. Like, it was like cooking me, man, and fast. And I was doing crazy stuff and flying to Vegas just, it was out of control. And that's when it all kind of crumbled, man. And I lost everything. And I was doing millions of dollars a year. I lost everything. I literally became homeless. And I lived in Seattle. I became homeless and lived in my car. And dude, you know, even then, even then, there was this arrogance about me. Like, I had this arrogant attitude, like, yeah, well, at least it's a nice car. you know, that I haven't made the payment on in months, but
Right.
and they can't find me because I'm parked under a bridge quite often. But
Hmm.
I mean, it was insanity.
Mhm.
And like I said, by the time I was 34, I had finally, gotten sober. And that's when the business I'm in now started to happen, is right after I got sober. But I feel like I'm rambling here and you're not asking me any questions, so I'll shut up.
No, you're definitely rambling. No, I'm just kidding.
I
No,
know.
no, I wanted to hear that, and I think it's very interesting. I mean, you were freaking homeless, right? And it could get worse, but that's pretty bad. But you were able to rise like the phoenix. And so now, when you're 34, you said that was 17 years ago. I mean, digital marketing wasn't even a thing. So what were you doing? Were you doing just like more general marketing, and then it slowly evolved into this modern, cutting edge, digital marketing company?
Well, in 1994, I was the direct TV thing going, and we were jamming, man. I made
Yeah.
it the new state flower in West Virginia, the satellite dish. And we had, I don't even remember how many salespeople, 30-ish or more salespeople, just canvassing every day,
Right.
going door to door. And then a friend of mine started an internet service provider company down there, and started showing me what HTML was. I'd always played around on computers since I was like 11 years old. I had a Commodore 64C, so I was a little obsessed with computers. And I figured out, using a program, an HTML editor called Hot Dog. I learned HTML. I taught myself. I bought books, taught myself HTML, and I programmed my first website in 1994.
Wow.
And so by the time 2002 rolled around and I got sober that year, at the end of '02, '03, beginning of '03, I was staying with a friend because once again, I had lost everything for a second time and was pretty much homeless. I mean, I was sleeping on somebody's couch. And this guy, his wife was being held hostage by these web developers, and they wanted like $10,000 to make all these changes to her site or something. And I said, that's ridiculous. She was complaining about it. I said, well, I could take that site and put it on a new server and have it done by tomorrow. And she's like, yeah, right. And I go, I could. And she's like, you know how to do that? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And I did it all night. I stayed up all night and I did this, right? And the next day she started crying because I had done it. And she was like, happy tears, pay me a couple $1,000s. And I was like, I can't take that money. You guys are letting me stay here. Like, no. And she's like, take it. You have to take it. Like, you just saved me $10,000. And so I'm like, wow, I wonder, I mean, if she's having problems, there's got to be more people. So then I built a Mercedes-Benz dealership's website, and I started building websites. And I was like, wow, I can't believe how many people don't have a website, or they have a website and it's crappy, or they're paying out the nose. And I literally just got off a call 5 minutes before we got on this interview with a guy that was quoted $41,000 for a website that I'm going to do for him for $15,000.
Wow.
So it's, yeah, I mean, it's significantly different, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm talking about. Like, you know, I started, I've done this so long that it's easy for me, and I know exactly how to bang something like that out really fast. So, and that's how I know Grant Cardone. He was a client of mine. I worked on his website for a couple of years.
Beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
and you also do digital marketing, social media marketing for
Yes,
companies as well, right?
I do. Yes.
Yep.
Just got a text message from one of them about that, actually.
Yeah, yeah, good, good. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are calling themselves digital marketers, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the 19-year-old kid in his bedroom has a digital marketing company, right?
Yeah.
And so, but the true digital marketer, like let's assume that I have a great product to sell that's scalable. Like if
Yeah.
I give you $20,000 to invest in digital marketing, ideally you could turn that into $100,000, correct?
I can't do it without your help.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one of the biggest things with digital marketers. They're like, hey, Dave, give me 20 grand and I'll handle everything for you. Well, Dave, you've got to be involved in your brand. It's your brand. Right.
Oh, yeah. But you'll guide, you'll coach, you'll guide on that. Like, what do I have to do? Right. So,
right. And, you know, obviously, yes, I can do some of the hands-on and help with all of that. But my approach is more about, it's just like Grant Cardone. Like, okay, hey, you follow Grant Cardone. Guy's got what, 1.5 million followers on Instagram or so, and he's constantly doing Instagram stories. But he has other people that add to his social media, but he's doing a lot of it himself as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, he's great. There's no, I mean, I feel like there's like 5 Grant Cardones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's more of what I do is I help my clients by, you know, teaching them how to do a live stream and keep an audience, build an audience, get people to share, get more followers. I mean, I'm no Grant Cardone. I mean, I'm only at 40,000 followers on Facebook and 20,000 on Instagram, but like, you know, I'm getting there. I'm not, and Grant's helped me too. I mean, he's helped me a lot. Although he says I made him who he is today, that's not true.
That is true. He said that on my podcast. I said, well, you know Ken Walls, and he said Ken Walls is responsible for the man I am today, right? So
yeah, he's very good at edifying. I
don't know if that was tongue in cheek or if that was solely serious, but we'll pretend it was solely serious, right?
yeah, that's right.
I'm sure he will give you credit for adding value to his life. How's that?
And definitely it's been reciprocal. He's helped me with a lot of stuff. I love that dude. So you know, but that's what we do now is we do web development, digital marketing. You know, I really enjoy coaching people more than anything. I love helping people wake up to what their true potential is with marketing.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So now a lot of, we'll say small business entrepreneurs, they can't afford $15,000. So what if a startup, let's say they're doing $500,000, they're just grinding it out, they want to get to the next level. Can they work with a guy like you, or do they need to kind of do more stuff on their own until they can graduate to that next level?
No, I mean, I most of our clients are smaller businesses. I mean, I don't work with a lot of brand new startups just because there's just typically zero budget. But I mean, I have clients that put $1,000 down to get started with us, and I work out. I finance a lot of stuff for clients, and unfortunately, I get burnt once in a while. But most of the time, we help each other, and I help them grow, and they can move into, affording more.
Yeah. Well, and also too, I mean, it seems like, a lot of people that can help people too. I mean, like I said, the first night I met you, I think you started connecting me to people, right?
Yeah.
And, and that's obviously a sign of people liking and trusting you, right? Yeah. So that's, obviously you've had some ups and downs in your life, but along the way you didn't sacrifice your integrity, your reputation, or maybe you restored it. I don't know, but you're doing something right. So
Well, and again, it's not like, Dave, that's one of the things that I mean, we all make mistakes, right? Everybody on this planet. Jesus said it when he stepped in the middle of the people and said, "Ye among you without sin, cast the first stone."
yeah,
And it's like, yes, I've screwed up. I've screwed up a lot. I screw up every day. I make mistakes. The difference is I don't stay stuck in the mistake, and I do everything in my power to fix it. And if I can't fix it, then I pray for the person, I pray for forgiveness, and I move on from it, and I don't stay stuck there. Again, you're gonna make mistakes, man. And anybody that tells you that they're perfect or they don't make mistakes, they'll lie to you about other things too. So
absolutely.
I screw up. And is my reputation perfect? No, man. Nobody's is. You can find dirt on everybody. I choose to see the good in people.
Thank you very much. So,
Yeah.
and well, and it's working for you. I mean, you're doing really well. You just got a new house, wife.
Yeah.
You got what, 2 kids, right?
Yep. Two
Beautiful
little
wife.
girls.
I think you married way up. I mean, no offense,
Way.
but you're doing good.
Way outkicked my coverage.
Her eyesight. I'm just kidding, but no, that's fantastic. No, you're a good man, and you deserve it. So,
Thank you.
so I'm
Thank
excited
you.
for you now. So I love how you talked about, and I love that you said cassette tapes.
Yeah.
That's the same thing, right? I mean, I had my starter car out of college. I'm, putting in, same thing. Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, all these guys, right?
Yeah.
And, but who, so we talked about Grant. Who else are you getting motivated today by?
Well, I'm friends with Jeffrey Gitomer now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm friends with Zig Ziglar's children. Of course, Zig passed away, but JulieZiglar.com, I actually built her website.
Cool.
She's she's Zig's daughter, and she's been his editor for, I don't know, 30 years. And I love that woman. Tom Ziglar and Cindy Ziglar are friends of mine as well. So, like to be able to, like, I was in Dallas at their headquarters, and just, I was sitting there literally in awe. Like, I was in complete, and like, if you could get in my head and see the world the way I see it, and I have experienced what I've experienced, Zig Ziglar is like the godfather of motivation and sales training, right? He's the original, in my opinion. There may have been a couple of others before him, but and to sit in his corporate headquarters, hang out with his children, like, and have the conversations I've had with them since, is just unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. So, it's a blessing, man. I don't even know how it's all happened. I just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and not give up.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, and now you just reminded me, you also connected me with Zig's kids, so thank you.
Oh, are you connected with them now?
Well, because of you, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
That's
thank
awesome,
you for that.
dude.
And I saw Zig Ziglar back in the 90s. He came to Rochester, and that guy did not stop moving, and he's like on his knees. He's up and down. He's like, the guy walked like 10 miles. He's like Mick Jagger of motivational speakers, all over the place the whole time, right? And the guy, I mean, back then, I think he was in his 70s, right? And so, yeah, incredible energy. And then I met Tony Robbins in the 90s. He came to Rochester as well, and I convention center. Went to go meet him afterwards, stood in the line, and incredible speech, incredible talk. And then you when you're like standing next to him, you realize how freaking big he really is, right? I mean, like, whoa, this guy, I mean, missing link, what's going on over here? This guy is huge. And I have these little Italian hands, and I shook his hand and like disappeared. I'm like, oh, where'd my hand go?
Right. Yeah, he's like 6'8" or something crazy. He's huge.
No, I'm 5'9" on a good day with the afro, so he dwarfed me big time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So tell me about your book. I'm obviously we can get it on Amazon, but what is the book about, and why should people read it?
It's called Walls of Wisdom: Turning Pain into Profit. And I published it back in 2017. And it's literally, it's a short book. It's only 74 pages, so it's not even a long book. But it's a, excuse me, it's a walk through my journey. and a walk through some of the things, steps, formulas that I use to succeed in life. Dust myself off, get in the right mindset. Because look, I've been through it all, man. I mean, I've been through it all. And I can promise anybody that's listening to this, there is not, and it's almost, it's a cliche. It is a cliche, not almost. Mindset is everything. If you are, and it's not about what I'm putting out there to you. It's not what I'm putting out there to the world. It's not what I'm putting out there on video. It's what I'm putting in here in my mind. It's the conversations I'm having with myself. There's a guy named Dr. Joe Dispenza that Ed Milet recently interviewed for a second time. And if you guys haven't seen that, go to YouTube and look it up. It's amazing. But he talks about the average human being has 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day. And that like 90% of those thoughts are negative in some way. They're based on the past. And that 50% of the stories we tell ourselves about our past are made up. They're a lie. Like, we're embellishing our past failures, mistakes. We're letting them become bigger than they actually are. So, like, you've got to get control of your mind, man. You've got to get control of what's going on up here. Grant says it all the time. You've got to fix your think, man. You got to fix what's going on up here, and then it'll all start reflecting out there. So it doesn't matter what you tell the world. If you're telling yourself that you're a loser, that you're not trustworthy, that you're, a piece of crap, and you're all of these bad things, well, then it's going to show in your life. It's going to show in your life. So again, I that's the most important thing to me. And my book talks a lot about that.
Yeah, that's great. I'm really getting into more and more the power of manifesting,
Yep.
your dreams, manifesting your goals, visualization, right? And then, and I mean, it's right from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and and then what's the guy's name? Why am I forgetting his name? The father of motivation, the guy that first started doing the recordings back in the 40s and 50s.
Dale Carnegie.
No, not Dale Carnegie. Nightingale. Nightingale.
Oh,
Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale.
Yeah, Earl Nightingale. Thank you.
Yeah, the synapses were connecting. But you become what you think about most of the time, right?
Yeah.
Socrates even talked about this, right? So it's about really retraining your brain about where do you want to be. I had a really good guy, John Mitchell, on the podcast, and he started a new company called Think It, Be It. And what you do, it's a course where you end up creating your visualization for where you want to be with, all areas of your life when it comes to, obviously career and business, but spirituality, health, mental health, physical health, right? Relationships. And by the end of the course, you have a very clear picture of where you want to be. And he set it up where about 10 to 12 minutes a day, you read it every day. And it's amazing how you just move in that direction, right? And but you're right. So people, if they're having 90% negative thoughts most of the day on the past, they're not moving forward, right? They're not moving forward. And that's what Avanti's all about, man. We're moving forward.
Good. That's so true. There's nothing more important than that stuff, man. I mean, Jack Canfield's book, The Success Principles, he talks about it. I mean, every great leader, I have spent the last 16 years of my life meditating every single morning. I will not miss that quiet time I have for at least 15 to 20, 30 minutes. And it's just visualizing my goals, spending time just quieting my mind, man, getting myself prepared for the day. I won't miss that. I will not ever miss that. And there's nothing more important than that, man. I have done some unbelievably great things in life, and I've done some unbelievably bad things in life. When I was a practicing raging alcoholic, man, I didn't know I didn't know which side was up. And so, as a result, I made some poor decisions. But, today, and I believe what Grant says, he's like, I don't meditate. And I love that. Like, I love Grant. Right. But But he's like, I don't meditate. You need to just take more action. And he's right, man, because so many people are looking for the path of least resistance, and including me, right? Like, hey, man, you give me $1 million and I don't got to do anything for it. Guess what? I'm taking you up on that. But most people, you know, if you said, hey, would you like $1 million? They'd say, absolutely. And if you said, well, you got to, you know, spend the next 15 years of your life working 14 hours a day and sleeping 5 hours a night or whatever, like, whoa. You mean I don't get family time and vacations and stuff? Well, no, dude. You want to become a multimillionaire, or do you want vacations? Like, which is it? Well, I'm not willing to sacrifice my family time. I mean, my family time is most important. I get it, man, but you got to make those sacrifices. There is no path of least resistance that leads to success.
Yeah. No, Jeffrey Gitomer talks about that, where people are trying to, you know, balance. And I like the thought of balance, and I certainly strive for balance. But, you know, when you are doing one thing really well, you know, the other things are not being paid attention to, right? So you know, certainly when I'm home, and Jim Rohn said this again, when I'm home, I am home, right? And my kids know, everybody knows I'm home, you know. But when I'm at work, I'm at work. Like, don't tell me that, you know, that you're bored and you can't find the iPad. Figure it out, buddy. I'm at work. You know, I don't want to hear about it. And ideally, and I really strive for this, when I'm on vacation, man, I try to be on vacation. It makes it harder with these damn, you know, technology tools that we have, smartphones, not so smart on vacation. But I know you probably know Brian Scudamore from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. I had him on a podcast. He does the best thing I ever heard. When he goes on vacation, he has his assistant change all of his passwords, email, phone, social media, everything.
Wow.
So if he wants to, he can't get on. And he's like, you know what? Call me if there's a fire. Otherwise, you're running the show. And I love it. What a great idea, right? Good for him.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
So Ken, we got to roll, but I'm so glad that we finally had you on the show. And I'm sure people want to get in touch with you and learn more about you and buy your book and go to your website and maybe send you an email. Yeah. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
KenWalls.com, dude. That's where, you know, and you can link. There's a link. All
happens, huh?
Yeah, I mean, there's a link to my company website and yeah.
Cool.
So
KenWalls.com.
Yeah.
No fancy spelling. KenWalls.com.
WALLS. There is some old actor named Ken Wall, WAHL. He was the wise guy. But he's washed up. Nobody's even hiring that guy anymore. So.
Right. They're hiring you now. Well, Ken, thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. And I wish you continued success, and really happy that, you know, 17 years ago, you got your stuff together and continue to move forward more and more every year. Congratulations to, you know, your success, your family, everything that you're doing.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And thank you, Avanti listeners and viewers, for giving us your time. Always appreciate that. We're here every Wednesday morning with a great new guest. And in case you want to listen to this one again or others, of course, we're on iTunes and all that good stuff. But we're always at AvantiEntrepreneur.com, where this will be here, show notes, links to Ken's site, the whole works, and all the other interviews that we've had. I think we're approaching, you know, I don't even keep track, but we're right around 150. I've been doing this for almost 3 years straight, every week. I think it's the only thing I've done in my life just with such consistency. So every Wednesday I've had a podcast come out. Even my family is impressed with me. Like, wow, you're like, you actually did something consistently for 3 years, you know? So I love doing this. If I can make $1 million a year just doing my podcast, I would do it, right? So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, thanks again. Thank you, Avanti listeners. Have a great day and stay awesome.
Thanks, Dave.